sort that list by frequency to look at the most powerful words. So there we are, that's wrapped up. And now we turn it back to Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. I'd be grateful if you'd email me that PowerPoint slide. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to Bill for doing the challenge month. But let's move on. Bob Armstrong presented at Functional Conference 2022, and he's going to talk about his talk and give us a link to his video. The link also appears on the meetup agenda for this month's meeting. So Bob, start your timer. You need to stop no later than 11:05.
I just set my timer. I got, yes, this functional programming conference. I keep hitting Control F6 when I want to hit Control F9, which is the key that pulls up. This was the conference, which was based in Calcutta, or Kolkata, it now is spelled with K's. My talk was CoSy evolved from APL by K. I only learned of this late, and I was quite surprised that I was invited to give a talk. But one of the things is on my notes. This was something that I tried. The occurrence, it was on the 24th, and those are the occurrences of 24th in there. So actually, this is in my presentations text, which is now upgraded. But here are all my notes from the conference and so forth, melding Iverson and more and so forth. And I'll tell you, I will emphasize this versus these other languages, and you can go through and look at my presentation. I'll come down to today's presentation. One of the things is these functional languages, there's a whole raft of them. Haskell, Erlang is actually interesting because that's very largely handles very, very large scale telecom parallel systems. And I think sort of goes beyond that, but you've got this F#, you've got Cloture, Scala, OCaml, I don't know what all these things are. And APL is included, but one of the things is Forth, without question, is a functional language, and perhaps purer than most, because you don't even have you don't even specify the arguments. They're just intrinsically on the stack, and you turn things on the stack. One of the things is these languages are totally disconnected from the hardware, which is one of the things that connecting to the hardware, which we just saw with Klaus's demo, to me is you don't have a complete language unless you have that. And they're very academic, based in this notions of category theory, which is a generalization even of set theories, where in any case, and they talk about functors and monads. And the interesting thing is the web runs on these languages very much, and these languages all have their money flowing niches, which I think is very impressive. But one of the things versus this academic sort of background of things, I emphasize again, and you look at my talk, which was, well, I got notes about, but the code is the theory, and coming from APL, okay, you can claim that that you've got some like matrix notation or algebraic operations, but bottom line, the code is the theory, and if you've got a bug in your code, well, then your theory's got a bug. I yesterday, actually, I happened to emailed the guy who's the main organizer of the conference that my presentation is now linked actually we'll go here to show all my videos are linked here, and here's the video on that I presented, so people can go and look at it and so forth. But I felt it wasn't very good when I did it, but realized I was trying to cover a lot of ground outside the standard scope of functional languages. Finally looking at it, I think I did better than I had felt. It reinforced my feeling that CoSy brackets most standard languages, being evolved and simplified from APL at the human end and open to the chip at the fourth end. My talk certainly was the only one that presented assembler code in any definitions. I think the concepts of the various functional languages I would look at as being vocabularies one could add to CoSy, since it provides dynamic reference counted lists at the very core level. I think one of the most interesting events was the table discussion following Jed Wesley Smith's names are overrated talks. Chuck Moore's white space is the prime delimiter, which is sort of a way I like to put it memorably. It removes, coming from the APL world, removes a straitjacket from a table of symbols cast in lead by a central committee. And the freedom to go and create any, words out of any non-blank string of characters is enormous. Finally, Aaron Chu, who I know from Dialogue, he works for Dialogue, I guess, at least partly, I think Indiana University, but he gave a talk on, well, here's his talk. But essentially, he's trying to go and make a compiler for APL, and he spent this 45 minutes on page filling. You can go and look at it, page filling APL scripts, which is an awful lot of code, to parse and compile APL. The syntax has gotten that complex and entwined with the semantics. I made the compact. Yeah, here's Aaron's thing, and I guess I clicked his YouTube. In the chat, I commented, channeling the IBM 1620 Cadet, which people can look up if they're not familiar with it, that in terms of going and parsing and all of the pages of APL code, CoSy doesn't even try. It's just fourth reverse Polish. And a simple RPN, along with the tick, which returns the address of a XT, is far more flexible without any loss of power. And it's an open vocabulary down to the chip rather than compiling. I mean, if you've got a problem with something not working, then go down and work on the definitions of the words that are making up the words that are there. I mean, you think one of the unique things about Forth and Chuck is that he recognizes that languages are a hierarchy of definitions, and it's not a horizon of some committee given set of words. Anyway, I also wanted to compare with Factor. The Factor presentation last week. CoSy's far more practical. Here's the link to one of the things is you see my environment. I live in my environment, so it's all about, that's a stupid ad. it's all about,
An inline version of that as well. If you
yeah,
actually want something
but-
complicated and you insert in the middle a
Part-
fixed expression that works. To wrap it up,
yeah,
factor is
I got
12,000
5 minutes
code,
left here.
and it's,
Let me run through
VM,
this real
all
quickly.
C++. Most of that is kind of OS integration, memory management, some garbage collection, and a few primitives. And it's a lot of factor code. 300,000 lines of factor code, 80,000 lines of tests, 70,000 lines of docs, and
Yeah,
any and all.
okay, compared to that.
For small and large ones in the tree, and we take pull requests. And
I'm sorry. I thought I didn't realize
you
this.
take
Yeah, okay. That actually, this is the thing. Is one of the things is they gave the first presentation there actually was this word palindrome, and actually that's virtually identical in CoSy. There's a defined palindrome. One of the I'll come back to this. But here is the palindrome thing was just there, but here's actually, they gave an XML thing. And frankly, this is simpler and understandable. The main thing is this word bracket, which, and then the application on each of those. And so that's going and doing what they're doing with all the complications in factor. I really was sort of like, because I considered factors is definitely good. CoSy is teeny compared to factor. And that's where I had the JPEG actually of that. The number of lines of code. Look at that. And one of the things is you start off with 12,000 lines of C++. Well, I went and pulled all my list of scripts. Okay, there are all the scripts that create CoSy, and I need to convert. Some of them are DOS format, and anyway, converting them all into. Oh, that's not the one I want. I thought it was on this line. Yeah, there's a number of lines in each of those scripts, and there's the sum across those. So I have a total of only 8,000 lines, including the Riva fourth interpreter. And to go and eliminate all the blank and comment lines, yeah, I got 7,600 total lines in all of CoSy, and that includes the garbage. It's better than garbage collection. It never moves anything. It's Arthur Whitney's version. So to finish up, the things that are actually needed to make CoSy, and I sort of think that fourth in general, a purely high-level concatenated language, is that state smart words are needed so that anything that's directly quotable from writing down a line on the screen, and that gets back to the example here. If I can write down race car, well, that's dupe with the reference counting included, reverse and identically equal. Okay, if I can write that down, I should be able to quote it. And this is one of the things is actually, I think that something that's needed is to have just definitions as quotes. And then if you want to attach it to a word, you can do that and then execute it as is. But that's one of those things, to make things pure quotes, like in factors. So you write something down, it's the same when you make it into a definition, except of course that state issue is a very fundamental thing in fourth. You need that vocabulary that goes and does the adding of definitions to the dictionary as opposed to executing immediately. And as I was showing, I really think that most fundamentally, you do need to have a separation of definitions from names. You need to have, I mean, it shouldn't be colon, name, definition, semicolon. They should be essentially, okay, definition, you attach it to a name. And one of the things that CoSy does not have, some fourths do, that's needed is recursive quotations. That ends up being a problem with expressing some algorithms, a number of algorithms. It really, essentially, you need to have recursive definitions that are inside definitions. And one of the things that's not done in CoSy is, and is done in Factor, is genericizing words. And then the final, there's my timer at 15 minutes. And integrating, there's some levels, but all of these things are things that are, if you will, they're not straightforward, but they take some work. And just a final comment with respect to going and showing these other languages, I'd love to see a talk on PostScript, which I understand is also a fourth-like language. And one final thing, I'm going to be open to having a Zoom at 3 p.m. my time this afternoon for anybody who wants to actually go and here's the fourth code. It's listed. It's on the blog for today. You can go to my website and pull up the thing. But for, obviously, I've skipped over a lot of stuff very fast. If you want to know about that or talk about future of CoSy in general, I'll be open for business at 3 p.m. Thank you. Sufficient? That was it. Any questions?
And release your screen.
Yeah, I'm there we go. There we go. And yeah.
I did have a question.
Okay.
Why are you in particular interested in functional programming?
Well, actually, it was a conversation of the British APL Association Zoom, which I
Sorry about that. We need to get on to the next speaker. Don, you're up.
Okay.